Three biggest limiting beliefs that you need to overcome as a barber if you want to actually make more than $10,000 a month, right? First limiting belief that barbers have around pricing is just the fear of losing clients. And this is the most critical one, right? Fear of client loss. Why do you guys have a fear of losing clients? It makes absolutely no sense, right? If you think about it, you'll see the barber, he's afraid of losing clients, but he's broke, right? He's making 2K, a month, but he's afraid to lose clients. It's like you're fully booked out. You're booked weeks in advance, right? Being booked for weeks is not a good thing, right? If you're booked and you're broke, what is the point of being booked out weeks and weeks and weeks in advance? Because at the end of the day, you could have clients on clients on clients. You could be booked 2-3 weeks in advance. But at the end of the day, if you're making 1K a month, 2K a month, even 5K a month, what is the point of being booked out so far in advance, right? You only have so many clients at that current price point in order to actually fill in more spots, because again, you're booked, you're doing the max amount of haircuts you could do. The only way to increase your income is either to do more haircuts or just to do the same amount of haircuts at the same price, but just charge more for it, right? So you guys have to realize that in order to let go of your current level of income, you have to be willing to lose clients, take a temporary loss so you can long-term increase your income like this, right? And this is how a barber business works. You're at this income, you're at 1K a month, right? You might raise prices and either you're going to go down a little bit for your first month and then come back up, right? This is option one. This is scenario one, right here. Scenario one is you raise prices, you lose a little bit of clients, maybe worst case you drop. This is worst case, right? This is if you raise your prices and you just completely start just jerking off, right? You don't do anything, like any inputs at all, right? Second option is mediocre inputs, right? You raise your prices, you just kind of keep doing what you've been doing, you don't innovate at all, and you kind of just end up going here, right? Nothing really happens the first month, but what you are doing is you're doing less volume, right? You're doing less volume. In other words, you're working less hours, but you're making the same amount of money, right? So either way, you're still winning. You're still making more per every hour that you're in the shop, right? And then let's say after like 3 months, right? Then you finally go up and it's gonna look like that, right? Either way, long-term, you're going up, right? Third thing that happens when you raise prices is that if you have so much momentum, like my guy Nick, who just got 69 new clients in 1 week, what's going to happen to him is he's literally just going to go from here, where he was at 1.2K a month, right? He's going to raise prices. He's going to still be doing 40 cuts a week, and he's going to go from 1.2K a month to up here. It's just it's probably going to be like this, right? It's been 3 weeks, right? Already raising prices by $20 per haircut. Let's do the math, guys. Look, $20 a haircut, 40 cuts a week. So just by getting booked out, and he's going to keep that momentum, 20 times 40, he's going to be bringing an extra $800 into his business, an extra 3.2K a month, right? If we add that on to where he's at right now, he's at 6K a month right now, extra 3.2K. He's going to basically, with tip, be hitting 10K a month in the next 1 to 2 months, right? From 1K a month to 10K a month. In the next 1 to 2 months, simply off just one price raise, because he's able to put in that decent amount of volume. He's able to do 40 haircuts a week at $60 a cut. That's easily going to get him to $10,000 a month, whereas literally 3 months ago, he was at $1.2 thousand a month, right? Boom. Second limiting belief that people have, right? Because we've already established that in order to increase your income, you must lose clients, right? It seems backwards, but you can't increase your income without losing clients in the first place, right? And this goes into my second point, which is people have emotional attachment to their clients, right? People are afraid to lose their clients simply because they consider them friends. They've mixed friends with business. Now they feel like they owe this person something. They owe this person a discount. They owe whatever the case might be to this person, right? And this is why they're stuck in this loop where, if I raise prices, I'm afraid of what this guy's going to say. I promised this guy that I'd give him 50% off. Now I don't want to disappoint him, right? So at the end of the day, it's the same issue as before, right? They all connect together. Mixing friends with business, it's never going to end well, right? You're never going to get ahead. If you owe so-and-so a discount, you owe your boy a discount, you're afraid to increase your prices simply because of this, right? And then this ties into the last thing, which is fear of criticism, right? It's all this. So many barbers just are simply held back by a fear of criticism, right? They're not able to raise prices. They're not even able to record one reel simply because they're so embarrassed to be the one person in the shop that does things differently. They're so embarrassed to be the one person in their environment that actually stands out, that actually makes a good living, right? That they won't even take the steps. So they won't even pull out the camera to record. They won't even attempt to raise prices because they simply feel like their clients aren't going to pay it, right? They're simply worried that nobody in their area pays enough. We're going to get into that in a second. But main problem is people will be so scared of getting made fun of by other barbers. They'll be so scared of getting, told that they can't raise prices by the shop owner that they won't even try, right? They won't even kind of contest the shop owner and be like, hey, wait a minute. If the shop owner is charging 50 a cut for the last 10 years and he's bringing in 6, 7, 8K a month from cutting hair, maybe he doesn't know everything that there is to know about scaling a barber business. Maybe he's run shops, but he doesn't know everything there is to know about scaling a barber business, right? But they'll take advice from the shop owner and then they'll use it as a reason to never grow. So using external excuses as a reason on not to challenge yourself to grow, right? I'm not even going to try and raise my prices because I'm afraid of what the clients will say. I'm afraid of what the shop owner will say. I'm afraid of what my friends will say. I'm afraid of what my coworkers will say. And so people end up never even trying, right? They never even have this thought in their head. And then the last limiting belief that is plaguing every single barber, forcing them to not be able to increase their prices, are questions like these, right? Area. Cuts need to be good enough, right? My haircuts don't look good enough, right? This goes down to value. So I'm going to break each of these down for you guys, all right? This limiting belief that price equates to area, if I ever hear it one more time, I'm going to crash out because the amount of people that think that price equates to the area they're in are completely mistaken, right? You could have somebody with amazing marketing, amazing product in a small town, someone like Larry, right, who's in a small college town in Illinois, charging $100 a cut, getting 100 new clients a month simply because he has the best marketing in the area, right? He's about 2 to 3 hours from a major city, Chicago. He's still having people from Chicago drive into the country, into the small city, just to get a cut by him, right? And this isn't because he's in the most richest area either, right? So you could also take the barber. There's two barbers, right? There's barber 1 and then there's barber 2, right? Barber 2, he lives in a rich area, right? He lives in the city. Barber 1 is Larry, right? He lives in a small town, okay? Let's just add up these points, right? Small town barber versus the rich area, big city barber, all right? The rich area barber, he feels like that his area is all he needs to make a lot of money. So he has bad marketing. He doesn't even market himself, right? Bad marketing, right? Because he thinks, again, all he needs to succeed is just be in a rich area. So he doesn't market himself. The next thing he does, bad pricing, right? He doesn't price himself in a different league. He tries to price himself competitively. He tries to go the lowest price, or maybe, he tries to charge like $5 more, $5 less than everybody else in the area. So he just mixes in with the crowd. People don't see his value because, right, he just tries to price like as low as you can, right? Bad pricing. When you price based off who can go the lowest, you commoditize yourself, right? What does that mean? When you commoditize yourself in business, you end up blending in with the market, right? This barber is blending in with the market, right? Blending in. So the only thing they have going for themselves is that the local area is naturally going to have people willing to pay maybe, like people overestimate the difference. Let's say the average haircut price in the small town is $30, and then the average haircut price in the average haircut price in the rich area is $50. That's only a $20 gap. It's not like people are charging triple or 4 times what the small town barber is charging, right? The rich area barber is making anywhere from like 6 to 7K a month, just relying on word of mouth, just relying on his area. Whereas the small town barber is able to stand out with his marketing, right? So he has really good marketing. He's in the small town, but all these people from outside are driving into his area to come get a cut by him because his marketing is so good and his brand is so good that people see the value in what he does. They're willing to drive up to an hour, 2 hours to get a service by this guy. And his brand is so strong that they're literally willing to drive hours and hours just to sit in his chair and have a conversation with him, right? This guy's pulling in 100 new clients a month despite having a town with a population of like 50,000, right? He's in the country, okay? The small town barber prices himself competitively. He charges 2 to 3 times what the average haircut price in his town is, right? Prices 2 to 3 times competitors. And while this might seem backwards, what this does for the small town barber, pricing himself 2 to 3 times all the other competitors, is that rather than blending in with everybody else by going with the same price, he allows himself to stand out in the market to the point where this barber prices himself competitively 2 to 3 times what all the other competitors are doing, right? And what this does is it attracts people who are looking for value, right? The clients who are looking for someone that have a good service, the clients who are looking for the best service, they have a problem with their hair. Maybe they have really flat hair, right? And they need someone who's good with scissors. Maybe they have really curly hair and they don't know how to use the right products to style it. Maybe they have a really light patchy beard and they need someone who won't push it down, right? Maybe they have a weak hairline and they need someone who's not going to push it back. The people who are looking for the best of the best, they're expecting to pay a higher price. And when they go to look for people to go to service them, and they see somebody charging the same as everybody else, the first initial thought from these customers, right, the high-paying clients, right, the high-paying clients, is that why is this guy charging so cheap, right? If he's so good at what he does, why is he charging the same as everybody else? And so, while on one hand you have people who expect to pay 20 to 30 a cut, you have this whole other demographic of people who are expecting to pay 70 to 100 a cut, and that market hasn't even been tapped, right? And this is the reason why there's less competition the more you go up. People think that there's more competition the more you go up. There's less competition the more you go up because the competition just falls off because people don't have the balls to charge 70 or 80 a cut. Right? People don't have the business knowledge to understand that when you go up on price, you eliminate competition. When you go up on price, you position yourself as the expert in your entire area and you completely wipe the competition because at this point, when you're charging these high prices, you're not even competing, right? You've got to the point where you are no longer even a competitor with these $20 to $30 barbers that are down here because the clients that would be going to these people, they are no longer looking at you, right? They're no longer even considering, there's a gap here, right? These people and these people are two completely different types of clients, right? This client is looking, barber hopping, looking for the best price, while this guy is looking for a service that is consistent, that is quality, that solves a specific problem or insecurity that they have, and that they can get reliable 100% of the time, right? And the last misconception is people think you need rich clients to charge a high price, right? And that is the biggest misconception ever. Because think about it. How many people are broke, but they make, the money within their budget to go out every weekend, to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars at the club, to spend hundreds of dollars on designer items? People will always pay for what they value. People will always include, valuable things into their budget. If somebody values their appearance, they could be making, they could be working part-time. I've had high school kids pay me $100 a cut. I've had middle schoolers pay me $100 a cut on a consistent basis simply because that's what they choose to spend their money on, right? At the end of the day, we all know the really broke guy who has a really nice car. We all know the person that's broke and they afford really nice things. It's because people are always going to spend their money on what they value. People are always going to spend their money on certain things. On the other hand, you might have some really rich guy who doesn't really see the value in getting an expensive haircut because he just doesn't care about his hair, right? So you're not targeting wealthy people. You're targeting people who have a specific problem with their hair. And that type of people that's going to attract are people who are seeking value. They're seeking a valuable service, right? So people have this misconception that they need to target older people or they need to target rich people or they need to target people in a certain area. But really what your marketing needs to target is people with a specific problem because those are the people that are going to pay the most for a fix, right? The second misconception, people think that their cuts are not good enough. I don't know where this idea came from, right? People think that you need to be like, people literally think that you need to do like those crazy, enhanced, painted, glittery haircuts from barber competitions just to charge $100 a cut. And it's simply not the case. Because when you get to this level in business, it's not about how you can impress other barbers. And it's not about who can have the best haircut in terms of skill set, right? It's about who can solve a specific problem and market a specific skill set the best. That's what this is about, right? The guy who can be really, really good in one area is always going to make more money than the barber who has 10 trophies from the barber competition, right? Most of the time, clients, we all know they don't have the barber eye. They're not looking for the perfect fade with the most enhancements. You could leave a line in the client's fade as long as it's not that noticeable, right? But if you solve the client's problem, because again, this is not optimal, but I remember back when I was a beginner barber and I would still leave lines in the fade every now and then. But I was really, really good at listening to the client, solving the problem that they had and styling their hair, leaving them feeling confident, leaving them with their desired outcome. I was getting paid 50, 60 a cut when I was only charging 25. And that's because I attracted the right clientele, I listened to their problem, and I specifically solved that, right? One thing to take away is styling and education and the overall feel, the emotion of the cut, the freshness that people feel is way more valuable than the actual skill set, right? People are paying for beyond just a haircut. We all know this. This is basic knowledge at this point, but they're paying for some type of experience, right? And then that goes back to providing value. It's like if you're able to solve the client's problems, if they're able to educate them on something, if you're able to have a valuable conversation with them, you start to get to the point where you document your lifestyle, you build a really big brand, and now clients are coming to you, and the conversations that you're going to have in the chair with them is where clients are literally asking you for life advice. Your clients are going to have their own businesses, and they want to talk to you about business. Your clients are going to talk to you about their relationships, their faith, whatever the case might be, life, the gym. Clients want to get some type of value out of you, whether it's education, right? Learning how to style their hair. Maybe they don't know how to take care of their hair and you give them a new shampoo routine. You recommend to them a new product, right? Or maybe it's just that literally, like I said, the client values you and your brand and who you are so much that these clients will literally drive, sit in your chair, right? Just to meet you, just to be exposed to that brand and just to get some type of valuable takeaway from the conversation, right? So focus more on providing value with your services and don't just focus on who can have the best haircut. Guys, let me know if you want to make a part 2, but that pretty much wraps up the entire video. If you guys follow all these things and you go over everything I said, you should have no reason why you're not able to raise prices. If you guys want to look at any other way on how to actually make more money as a barber, the same systems that got me to $15,000 a month at 18 years old, my freshman semester of college when I was 18, charging $85 a cut, I teach everything for free on this YouTube channel, right? So if you guys made it to the end, let's take some notes, let's apply some action, right? And I'll see you guys in the next video. Go through all my YouTube and let's actually get tangible. Let's get some real results here. Peace.